Geopolitical landscape in focus, Bolivian elections, Putin's peace proposal, and US-India trade tensions. The global geopolitical landscape is changing rapidly, with major events reshaping alliances, generating economic uncertainty, and testing the resilience of nations. Three key issues stand out in the current landscape: the decisive elections in Bolivia, Vladimir Putin's controversial peace terms for Ukraine, and the escalating trade dispute between the United States and India. Bolivia, a political crossroads. Bolivia is approaching a decisive electoral moment that could end 2 decades of dominance by the socialist MAS party. Once celebrated for lifting millions out of poverty under Evo Morales, the MAS now faces growing discontent. Internal divisions, declining gas production, and rising inflation have undermined public confidence. The stakes are high. Bolivia holds vast reserves of natural gas, tin, and, most importantly, lithium, a key resource for the global energy transition. A shift toward a liberal opposition could mark not only a national realignment but also broader geopolitical repercussions, altering how Bolivia relates to global markets and foreign investors. Russia-Ukraine conflict, Putin's conditions for peace. Another focal point is the conflict in Ukraine. In a recent meeting with Donald Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin outlined his conditions for what he calls final peace. These conditions include international recognition of Crimea and Donbass as Russian territory, official status for the Russian language in the occupied areas, and legitimization of the role of the Russian Orthodox Church. Putin's reception in the United States, with full diplomatic honors, generated unease among U.S. allies. Reports suggest that Trump was open to several of these demands, raising alarm in Kyiv. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is now actively mobilizing European leaders to block any agreement that would leave Ukraine weakened and Russia emboldened. The shadow of the failed Minsk agreements looms large, reminding the world how fragile peace negotiations can be when trust is lacking. US-India trade tensions escalate. Meanwhile, economic friction is intensifying between Washington and New Delhi. The United States has imposed heavy tariffs up to 50% on Indian exports, echoing similar measures against Brazil. The U.S. has cited geopolitical rather than purely commercial reasons, further straining relations. At the heart of the dispute is India's neutrality in the Ukraine conflict and its continued purchases of Russian oil, despite American pressure. The situation escalated when Washington abruptly canceled a scheduled economic summit, infuriating New Delhi. In response, India is exploring closer alignment with the BRICS bloc and European partners, signaling that it will not allow its economic autonomy to be dictated by Washington. Conclusion. From La Paz to Kyiv, from Washington to New Delhi, these unfolding stories illustrate how interconnected global politics have become. Elections, wars, and trade disputes are no longer regional affairs, they ripple across continents, shaping the balance of power in unpredictable ways. The coming months will be decisive. Will Bolivia pivot toward liberal reform? Will Ukraine be pressured into an unfavorable settlement? And will US-India tensions cool, or push New Delhi further into alternative alliances? One thing is certain: the world is watching.